Alrighty, so without further ado, I'd just like to introduce our panelists. So actually, why don't you guys introduce yourselves? I don't want to do more work. So I'll just pass it over. So just introduce yourselves and talk about the chapter that you're from.
My name is Grant Camich, and I'm from Kitsworth Parkland, which consists of Stony Plain, the town of Stony Plain, City of Spruce Grove, and Parkland County.
Janice Lupel from Fort Saskatchewan, and our chapter encompasses surrounding communities of Bruderheim, Lamont, Josephburg, Gibbons, Redwater, Bonaccord, Ardrossan.
Kevin Webster, Kitsworth, Calgary area. Our chapters Calgary proper, Airdrie, Cochrane, Rocky View County, High River, Strathmore, Chestermere, Turner Valley, and Black Diamond.
Malcolm Como with the Lethbridge-Tabor Kitsworth chapter, and our communities, the two major ones are Lethbridge-Tabor and then a couple of smaller ones in between.
All right, guys, so first question that I have for you in the panel is if you can just quickly describe your event. It's up behind them on the screen as well as just the name of the event, but if you want to talk about your event, what it entails, and how long it's been running for. I'll start.
Are we going by that list?
And we're going to go right back this way.
I oppose.
Too late for that, too late. Rob's sitting down, he's done. Your turn, I jumped down.
Okay, LeaderCast is and I guess it's right on here, it's the largest one-day leadership event in the world. And about 3 or 4 years ago, as part of our AGM in Calgary, we were a host site. And so at that point, we thought that it would be a good idea to try and bring that to the business people in the Lethbridge area. And so we did it for a couple of reasons. One was to provide a top-notch event in Lethbridge, giving something back to the business community who supports us. And secondly was to raise funds and exposure for Kitsworth. So this will be our 3rd year. We hold it at the Lethbridge College, which has a really unique center where it's a round room and it seats about 300 people. 4 large screens there, a great learning environment. And so we found that to be probably the best place in Lethbridge for this kind of event. Then with the college there, their culinary program has won many international awards. So they're the ones who provide all of the continental breakfast, the refreshments, and a fantastic lunch. And we spend a little bit of money on that, but we have found that how many times you've gone to a conference and one of the things that people will say, yeah, the conference is okay, or the food's really sucked.
Greg literally said that to me this morning.
You know, it's
Greg literally said that to me this morning.
You know, it's something that we thought was very important. So we are gaining some real traction in Lethbridge. I mean, the first year, we made about $10,000. Last year we made $20,000. And what we're trying to do is just highlight the importance of people learning to become better leaders. And this is probably the best way. It's already a template that we use. They provide all of the advertising, the brochures, the speakers, which is the most important thing. We just basically provide the event and trying to get the community to be aware of it. One of the things, and I guess something that I've learned from LeaderCast, is that Donald Miller, who was a speaker last year, and I think this has been our opportunity and our challenge, is he said that people don't buy the best product. They buy the product they understand the best. And so we think we have a great product, but we haven't been diligent enough and clear enough as to what LeaderCast is, because I really believe that we should be filling that facility every year because it's such a phenomenal event. And in here, I think I gave some information as to how you potentially could become a host site. I really believe that it's a different type of fundraiser because you're giving back to the community and the people who are sponsoring you.
Great.
Is that good enough?
That's perfect. Kevin, you want to talk about your event and how long it's been running?
Our event definitely is not making society better like Malcolm's. It's about gluttony and mass consumption of pizza in a short amount of time. So This past year, we celebrated the 15th anniversary of the Eric Francis Pizza Pig Out. Eric Francis has been a supporter of kids sport for over 2 decades now. Local sports reporter, news columnist, TV personality, and just genuine good guy in terms of his passion and knowledge and care of what kids sport does. So 15 events ago, and this isn't in sequential years, but Eric and some buddies got together at a place called Dusty's, and they wanted to figure out what the best pizza in Calgary was. So instead of them going around to all the different restaurants, they said, well, we'll get them to come to us. So I think they had maybe 10 different pizzerias that supported in the first year. Last year, at the 15th anniversary, I think we had close to 60 pizzerias. So that's over 700 pizzas we had, all piled onto tables like this on the dance floor at Cowboys. And we had over 700 people that get to mingle with some of Calgary's A-listers and sports celebrities and taste test every type of pizza you could possibly ever thought of and wanted to try. And then on the Sunday following the event, Eric writes a column in the Calgary Sun to recognize, basically every pizzeria gets recognized in some category with the top 25 or the tantalizing 25 as he refers to it as. And the pizzerias love it because they get some exposure. They know they're supporting a good cause. It supports kids sport and You Can Play. So 2 very like-minded organizations in terms of providing accessibility and breaking down barriers that face kids in society when it comes to sport. This year we raised just over $60,000. The event's pretty easy to replicate. We've done one similar now for the last couple of years with chicken wings. So good exposure for restaurants, great way to connect out with the community. Lots of different sponsorship opportunities within the event that are priced at a fairly reasonable number to get different sizes of business involved. And it's a great entry point to bring new prospects, current donors, volunteers out to, because it's a really fun night. And it happens sort of between 5 and 8:30, so you're in and out fairly quickly.
Okay, the event that Fort Saskatchewan has held is a pub night and silent auction. We've held it for 8 years and raised anywhere between $7,000 and $10,000 at the event. It's held at a local pub that really only has a capacity of about 110 people. We've talked about moving it to a different location so we could sell more tickets and get more people in the door. But the owner of this local pub is just so good to us. You know, he gives us 10% of the sales from the evening. He doesn't charge us for the venue. The food buffet that he puts on is astronomical, and he gives it to us at cost, so it ends up being like about $5 a person for wonderful food. So it's really hard to consider leaving his venue when he gives us such a good deal. Of course, like I said, the space limitation probably hampers how much money we could bring in. We go around, you know, to businesses in town to solicit donations for our silent auction, and most businesses are, you know, quite welcoming to donate something for our auction because we are a good cause. Like I said, we can only sell about 100 to 110 tickets because of his capacity. So in addition to silent auction items, if we get some fairly big donation item, we'll do a live auction. Like one year we had WestJet donate the trip for 2 anywhere that WestJet flies, and we had Fairmont Hotels donate a $500 gift card. So, you know, we did that as a live auction, and that auction I think brought in like a little over $3,000 in itself. So depending what kind of donations we get, you know, we'll have a live auction or 2 involved. We've often had some celebrities attend. One of our sort of silent board members has a connection with the Oilers and the Eskimos, so we've often had celebrities. We've had Jason Moz at the event,
Louis DeBrusque did this.
Louis DeBrusque, yeah, so we've often had a few celebrities in attendance. As far as marketing it, because our limitation of about 100 to 110 ticket sales, we haven't really advertised the ticket sales because just amongst our board members selling to family, friends, neighbors, we've pretty much sold most of our tickets anyway. This year, with expanding our board now to 11 people, it's like, okay, we sold 100 tickets for 6 board members. So it's like if we have 11 board members and they all want to bring family, friends, and neighbors, we might have to investigate moving to a larger facility. So that will be something we'll have to discuss for this year. Our local radio station basically is the only advertising that we do. Typically a couple weeks before the event, I'll go to the radio station and be his like morning spot or whatever, and he'll ask some questions about kid sport. So it's kind of a good way to get some information out about kid sport, as well as, you know, advertising ticket sales. But like I said, usually we don't have many tickets available for the general public to buy anyways. So yeah, it's been a good event. The first year or two that we did it, it seemed like a lot of work, but once we kind of got everything figured out and, you know, do a couple raffles, we do like a 50-50 draw, and usually a liquor basket draw and stuff. So once we kind of did it once or twice and, you know, everybody kind of had a set job, it doesn't seem quite as huge of a task anymore. So yeah, it's been a good event for us.
Great.
All right, first of all, I apologize for my voice. We had a fundraiser last night, pub night actually. So, second of all, if you want to know what happened to my arm, it was involved in a dunk tank that for a fundraiser. So, just kidding. I'm here first of all just to fill you in on one of our major events that we have. But I've been involved with kids sport in the golf tournament side of it for going to our 6th annual event. But I just recently took on the chair in October, and one of the things that we wanted to make sure that we did with kids sport in our area is we just wanted to be very proactive and basically getting awareness out there, doing a lot of fundraisers, and just to touch on some of the things that we've got planned really in the next 2 years. We just finished doing a Super Bowl score thing. Did a pub night last night. We got the golf tournament coming up in mid-June. We got the Sorrentino's lobster and pasta theme for kids again coming up. We'll do the Grey Cup pool. We're in the early stages of planning a 3-on-3 outdoor kids hockey tournament as well it's going to be next summer. But like I say, our biggest fundraiser that we do by far is the golf tournament. And this will be our 6th year. This coming up in June. We will exceed over $200,000 already raised for that event. Basically, how that event has worked for us is, well, one, we're in the try. So we move the golf tournament around to various golf courses. My role really has been tied to the fact that I manage golf courses. I'm a golf pro. That makes it very easy for me to find us a golf course at a venue and that's big enough to occupy that. The other key component, of course, in your committee is to make sure you get somebody that's maybe a financial planner that can help you with some big sponsors, title sponsors, and then somebody that's really runs the whip list that can keep everybody going on that. So we really have successfully always sold out this golf event. We are right now about 80% sold out. And we haven't even tapped out to probably 75% of our people that have been involved in this event yet. We want to make sure we fill out the golfers. We are about 60% through on our sponsorship goal, but we will accept everything and everything. The goal of the event is basically that the entries cover the cost of the event, and every dollar that we gain through sponsor will go back to our chapter in kids sport. What's our budget look like? I think I've touched a little bit on that. We've been anywhere between $80,000 and $90,000 in revenue coming in. We make sure that we give every one of our sponsors, competitors, something, i.e. one year we gave this pullover. We want to make sure we get the identity out there that, again, branding Kidsport, getting awareness out there. Why did we start the golf tournament? Well, the real reason for Parkland at the time is we were, I think, giving out roughly about $200 per applicant. We're now up to $500 per applicant. We've gone from about 100 applicants coming in to this past year, we had 345 applicants come in. So we're definitely giving out a lot more money. A lot of it, as you know, goes through what's going on in the economy. But at the same time, I think we've done a really good job of branding and getting the awareness out there. And that has been also the goal, not just about fundraising. And I don't know if I need to touch anything more on the golf tournament. Definitely welcome any questions.
I have a couple more for you, so you're good there. But yeah, so as you can see, there's some really successful events that we have here in terms of fundraising, in terms of awareness too. So the next question that I have for you guys is very quick, just looking at organizing the event. How do you organize it? Do you do it yourselves as your committee? Do you have an external committee that does it for you? Is it a third-party event? What does the organization and planning of your event look like?
Well, our golf committee basically just went up one person this year. We're now at 6.
Okay, but you have a committee that's separate from your board?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we do.
Great. What about you, Janice? How does your event get planned?
For us, it's just amongst our own board members, so we all just go out there and everybody picks like 10 or 15 businesses to go to solicit donations. You know, hopefully everybody sells some tickets, and then the actual night of the event, we all just show up a little bit early to get all the tables set up and stuff.
Great.
So, yeah.
What about pizza pickup, Kevin?
Yeah, we have a external committee. Our staff support that group, so we've got people that make the calls to the pizzerias and communicate with them leading up to the event. Sponsorship, an auction coordinator. Eric's heavily involved in recruiting all his friends and VIPs. Cowboys has a spot on the committee in terms of helping us as the venue and with setting up ticket sales and just bringing people in and out of the venue. And then we, report regularly to the board, and our board fills a role in terms of bringing people out and future prospects of Kidsport come have some pizza and enjoy a good night.
Yeah, for us, we do have a subcommittee made up of a couple of board members, and then we have some people on the business committee as well on the committee. But for us, like I had mentioned, there is a template. So most of, or I would say 90% of the work is done for us. Our main goal, or our main responsibility is to get the word out and get people to attend the event.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, and that actually ties into my next question. It's just about how do you market the event in your community? I know everyone's kind of touched on this a little bit, but what is the story of your event that you tell in your community? How do you get the word out? We
are using social media, but the biggest sponsor is Electric Herald. So they give us, I think, 4 or 5 large ads throughout before the event.
That's excellent. Yeah. That's so good. Yeah.
And but that's pretty much it. Other than that, it's the committee and people getting the word out. Mm-hmm. Which, and again, this is, in my opinion, the challenge or the opportunity is where I don't think we've done a good enough job. I think it's maybe we found, hey, this is too easy because everything is provided for us. But I think in the future we're going to address that to get more bums and seats.
Okay.
Similar, we have some good media partnerships. So the Rogers Media Group, City TV, Sportsnet, 960, Breakfast Television, our media partners in the Pig Out, and then the Calgary Sun, Calgary Herald, our media partners, so they help us in advertising, social media support. And then the committee itself has a social media person, so James looks after the Pizza Pig Out Facebook and Twitter accounts and promotes, and then as we market direct to all people we have in the database from the last 3 or 4 years that we've been doing the digital ticket sales.
Yeah, for us, it's mostly just our board members selling the tickets to their, family and friends. Like I said, the radio station, the local radio station is wonderful for advertising anything for us free. So I mean, we usually will advertise it on there, and then just our social media page. Obviously, if we do look to expanding to a larger venue, you know, we may need to look at a little bit more in the line of advertising. And, you know, I know we have some of our local grocery stores that, you know, will allow us to set up a table and potentially sell tickets and stuff to patrons in the grocery store to get the word out of our event. So
I think for us, in our first year, we really just tapped out to anybody that was a golfer, a business owner, and we built, like I say, we sold out the first year, and from then we just created a big database, and it's very easy for us to sell.
Great. Something that I think is really interesting about just the answers that we've gotten here is that, yes, you can get big sponsors, and doing social media marketing and all of that stuff really helps, but it ties into a conversation I was having last night about how important personal invitations are. Just reaching out to your network and saying, hey, this is an event, you should come to it. You specifically, I think you specifically really enjoy it. And making sure that there's that personal connection, because often we can forget to invite people. We feel like we're talking so much about these events, that we're doing so much work in planning them, but talking specifically to the people that are in our lives is something that's really important. So I think that that's great to hear. Next question I have for you guys is just, what are the biggest challenges or expenses in putting on the event? What are something that are big hurdles for you guys in getting the event started? If you've been running it for a couple of years, maybe what are the biggest hurdles that you had in your first year?
I think for us, we made a point of making sure that we actually get kids involved in working a hole. Okay. On the golf course, and I think if there's a hurdle out there is that they have a lot of fun. It's a lot of space for them, but again,
where do you find kids? Like, are you just asking kids for kids?
No, we're a number of the golfers and some of our other volunteers. We do need some volunteers that day of the event. We actually have one mom that really makes sure that she coordinates. So there's the kids like the fact that they get out of school, because it's a June event. But we usually have, for example, we'll have a lemonade and cookies with the logo on it, and people can come and make a donation. We've done toques one year. They sold toques. We've had scarves one year. They sold scarves. We had actually one year when we actually needed a toque. It's too bad, but again, it was very successful. So we, again, that's not really a big hurdle for us, but I think the event has been very successful. That's been a lot of fun.
Okay, great. What about you, Jens? What are your biggest hurdles, and what were they?
I think the biggest challenge we've had, because it is a rather small venue, the amount of donations that we get for silent auction items is usually over and above what the capacity of the tables are. So we have things hanging from the walls, we have things on the floor. So that's probably our biggest challenge, is that we just never seem to have enough room to display all the items.
Okay.
I think the biggest challenge, usually managing Eric's stress leading up to the event, that we won't have enough pizza, which we've been closed before, but we usually have tons. So, and then just to take advantage of the opportunity. So having 700 people in a room, making sure that we have a strong kid sport message there, and that they leave knowing who they supported and why they were there, over and above the 50 slices of pizza they ate. And then part of that is, and maybe Janice, you can help us since you have extra, but recruiting enough prizes for our pizza box raffle and our silent auction table, to again take advantage of the group that's there in the building.
Probably the greatest challenge is, a few years ago, there's a for-profit company in Lethbridge, and they put on an event, I think 6 weeks before ours, which is called Greatness and Leadership. And
they stole your thunder.
Sorry?
Did they steal your thunder?
Well, they did a little bit, but we're finding out that it's very inspirational. They do a great job of getting the word out. I mean, when they had their last one, I think a few weeks ago, they had 1,900 people there.
Wow.
Yeah, so that causes a bit of an issue for us, but we think we can overcome that. We're starting to hear that people who go to Greatness and Leadership go there for the inspiration. It's kind of neat. This year they had a fellow who was involved in dealing with the Titanic.
Oh, cool.
Okay, and then they have some other leadership speakers as well. But what we're hearing is that you go there for the inspiration, you come to ours to become a better leader.
Okay.
So I think that's one of our challenges. Again, this is the third time I'm saying it, but I think our challenge is making sure that we clearly sell our products so we get more people.
Yeah. Great. So the next question I have for you guys is just a question about scale. So all of your events, the reason why we're talking to them is because Kidsport chapters are of such greatly differing sizes that we want to showcase events to you that can be done really big and ones that can be done really small. So hopefully these ideas, you know, we've talked about them and we're hoping that they're very replicable in your own community regardless of the size of your chapter. So looking at the event that you're hosting, what would it look like if it were half as big? And what would it look like if it were twice as big?
I don't think for LeaderCast that's an issue. I think it's all relative. If you're in a smaller community where the cost may not be as large, and so you can still put on, I think, a great program. Because again, remember, the template is set. It's there for you just to follow and just get people there. Like Kevin and I were talking last night about the number of money and the number of kids they fund compared to what we do, but we felt it's all relative. You know, talk about the scale of or the number of the people in the two different cities. I think it works so well. I think LeaderCast would do the same thing. I think if you put this on, I think you'd find that whatever community you're in, if you're able to qualify for it, I think would work quite well. And I think also, I think you make a lot of money through your sponsorship.
Cool.
Our definitely can be replicated at different sizes. Last year, Kidsport Victoria hosted their first John Montgomery Pizza Pig Out. I think they had 200 people and a much smaller venue than Cowboys. They raised $50,000 in year one. We're just waiting for our royalty check. Kidsport Edmonton is interested in starting one next year, so we're just working on a contract that they'll need to fill out. But yes, without a doubt, and like I said, we did the chicken wing one, which maybe in your community there's not enough pizzerias, but maybe you do it more of a food fest style and get the community together to come and experience a few pubs and restaurants all in one space and give them a platform to show that they're community minded and get their top wares and food on display for the community to vote on and have some fun and be able to sell your Kidsport message to a captive audience in one night.
Okay, for our event, if it were like half the size, it probably wouldn't really even be feasible because, like I said, we're already a pretty small event with only about 100 people. If we could expand it and have like twice the amount of people, I think it would certainly generate more revenue for us because you'd have that many more people competing for your items and bidding higher and stuff. But our expenses would also increase if we had to pay for a venue and hire a caterer compared to, you know, what the deal we get from our local pub. So I think it would certainly be an opportunity to expand it and raise more money. So,
if you're a golfer, you probably realize that golf used to be played in around 4.5 hours. If we were to increase, first of all, our event is not a scramble. They play their own golf. I think that's another side that's successful in the event. But if we were to increase to 160 players or even, we can't even accommodate 200 players, there's no 36-hole venues in our area as well. We are looking at the possibility of having a second event in the fall. But we think that's still a couple of years away. Like I say, we're at a point now where if we're going to continue to keep tapping to some of the people that support Kidsport, we're doing some other events now. But like I say, if we were to get up to 160 players at a round of golf, we'd probably turn it to a 6-hour round of golf, and we would probably lose people.
Okay.
Because they just don't want to be out there that long.
What about making it a 2-day event?
So that's the idea. We probably wouldn't do 2 days back to back because we would want to have some overlap with those players from, say, a June event come to a September event. So that's one of the things we're looking at. So I think it will happen based on our database and how quickly we do sell out.
Cool. All right, so next is just my last question, and then we'll open it up for a Q&A if anyone does have any questions. So the last question is, why is your event a success? How do you measure the success of your event?
I think for us, one of the success things again is the golfers are able to play their own golf ball. They can make their own foursomes. That's great. But I think at the end of the day, they see how much money that is being raised. They see where it's going out. It's staying within the community. And again, the fact that we do move around from different venues. We've had at private courses. We've had it at public facilities. So it doesn't stay at the same venue. Do we find it sell it quicker when it's at a private course? Absolutely. But I think that's the key components of it.
Okay. What about for you, Janice?
I think one of the reasons our event has been a success, and previously, like I said, when most of our board members were in the 50+ age category, of course, most of the people attending who are our family, friends, and whatnot were also kind of in that age bracket. And one of the comments that we had heard was, when they attended pub nights and silent auctions for sports teams and whatnot, the evening dragged on too long, and it was like midnight, 1 o'clock before all the activities were done.
Yeah.
So we try to keep ours with everything completed by about 11:30. So all of our raffle draws and stuff are drawn by like 10:30.
Yeah.
Auction items and stuff are pretty much over and done with by 11, so that the older crowd who needs to go home and go to bed. And I think another key component is the entertainment. Comments that we've had as people are leaving was, like, oh, I had so much fun tonight. So we just, provided a really fun evening. Didn't require them to stay out till 2 in the morning to partake in the whole event. And, certainly the quality of the auction items that we get is a good part of it as well, because we've also had comments, from people that said, oh, I was at a pub night for the ringette team, blah, 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 and they only had like 30 auction items and they really weren't very good. So I think getting a good quality of auction items really helps too.
Yeah, and we have the lesser items. So we get people give us little stuff. We normally have a door prize for everybody that comes.
Oh, that's great.
So we call that randomly during the night.
Yeah, cool.
I think what leads to success, I think the history of the Pizza Pig Out, I think just great people being involved, led by Eric and the committee that wants to make sure it's a success. And I think it just stands out in a city of Calgary. There's fundraising events every night. It cuts through the noise, and the Pizza Pig Out kind of is on everyone's calendar, waiting for when it's going to be scheduled and when they need to get their tickets. And then it's got a low cost of entry. You can get in at $35 for a night of all-you-can-eat pizza. You can have a drink with Brian Burke and tell him all the things he's done wrong. It's just unique on its own, and it's you're not buying a table at a gala event. And there's so much happening in the city that it's something that definitely stands on its own.
Oh, sorry, I was reading about pizza. What was the question?
So no,
Sorry.
who in this room hasn't been distracted by pizza during a panel? No, so just talking about why is your event successful?
I think for us it's a little bit different because, again, the reason we have it is because we want to give something back to the community. And so we have a comment card that we've given out. In the last 2 years, I would say, I might be exaggerating a little bit, but I would say that of all of the comment cards we get back, as far as a satisfaction rating, we're probably about 85 to 90% on the high end. So to us, that's success. Yes, we're making some money. The other thing that I think we can quantify as success is when you have a business who's, say, year 1 brought a couple people, year 2 they brought 4 people, year 3 they're bringing 10 people. So to us, we think we are accomplishing our goal.
Great, awesome. All right, well, thank you so much to the panel. I want to open it up for Q&A. If anyone has questions specifically about running these events, or if anyone from peanut gallery wants to chime in on the events, if you've run one before and you disagree with what someone has said. But yeah, so does anyone have any questions? Terry?
For the, how much are the tickets? And what is the ticket?
The ticket is $15.
Sorry. I took it away too soon.
We charge $15 for the tickets, and so that includes their food that they're getting. And the buffet spread that the pub owner puts on is all like hot appetizers. So nachos, chicken wings, chicken fingers, potato skins, you know, and people can go back and fill their plates as many times as they want. So, you know, really, they're probably getting at least $12 to $15 worth of food alone for their, you know, for their ticket to the event. And then, you know, plus they're getting entertainment and the opportunity to go home with all kinds of wonderful items.
Great. Anyone else?
Yeah. Kevin, you just made a comment about that you use digital ticket sales, and I just, in some of our events, like even we do a fall raffle, and it's getting annoying because people just want to e-transfer you funds personally, and I don't like that. And then they want you to send us a picture of the tickets because they don't really need the ticket. And so I'm like, when you said that, I was like, oh my gosh, can we do that? Like, what provider do you use, and could that work for a raffle type ticket?
Yeah, we've done we've used an online system for a raffle previously. So the last one we did it for is probably, Lisa, you can correct me, but it was probably the wine raffle at the Reds Roast. I think we used PayPal at the time, but since then we've been introduced to a few local groups. The Pizza Pig Out's done through Show Pass, which I was explaining to Jenny last night. It's a very simple system to set up. I can introduce anyone to the guy at Show Pass. It's a Calgary startup that's become huge. They started in the bar industry. They mainly focus on tickets, but they're now doing events. So we've got a golf tournament up on there. You can set it up for whatever you want. The setup takes 3 to 4 minutes once you're set up in the system, and then they send you the check. The other group we worked with is Generous Tickets. He's on the board with Make-A-Wish Foundation. Derek Rogers is his name. He started it because they were using Eventbrite for everything, and he saw the amount of fees that their customers or they were paying. So his business model is 50% of the fees he gives back to the charity partner. We've used him for our charity hot stoves. We've used him for our recent NHL playoff draft, and very simple to set up. It's a one-pager that you fill out for him. He sets it up, and we've got a link in within an hour most times. So again, we can connect you with any of those groups. The Show Pass one fees are, I think on the golf tournament, it's $200, and the fees are about $7 to the customer. So they pay the fees over and above their registration. And then Generous Tickets, the fee structure is a little bit different, but it's still fairly reasonable compared to what Eventbrite was. And we tried using Eventbrite in the past as well.
So you're looking at just thinking about cost-wise. So it's about like an additional $7 per ticket for when our people are buying.
That's on $200, or so depending on the cost, it's a percentage based on the actual cost. And then I know Jenny in Lethbridge uses Square, which we use more for the just credit card transactions at events, which is it's a free service. They send you the plugins for your phones or tablets, whatever you want to use. We use to sell bobbleheads, 50/50s, raffle tickets, wherever you've got events where people most times don't have cash on them now. But Jenny could explain more directly on how they use it to invoice people, as well as have an online sales portal. So they use it for LeaderCast. From what she was telling me, we haven't tried Square for that, but it's definitely a great program to at some of these events where you've got a captive audience that you're not turning away money. Our Square portal we use everywhere now. I think we have 4 of them now. The technology is free. Again, it's just a cost per transaction. I think it's 2 to 3%. And that comes out of your dollars there. The customer's not paying it. So if you're charging $20 for a ticket, you maybe get 19 of it or whatever that works out to be.
Thanks. Great. Any other questions?
When and where's the tournament this year?
The tournament's at the Links in Spruce Grove this year.
What date?
June 14th.
Okay.
I just wanted to pass on just sharing some ideas. I mean, we've done a night before the event auction of teams. So we do have within the event, we have kind of a competitive side and a non-competitive side. So we've done that as a fundraiser the night before. One of the, actually two of the really successful events, but going back to why it's success, I think is because we change up the format of it too. We've done it where people have come in and they've had to buy a key. And then at the end of the round, they come in and they have to try their key in a locker to find out what they win. We've also done in the 50-50, we have about 6 packages. So we'll have a recreational package, which will be like gym memberships and spa memberships, and we'll have a golf package. We'll have about 6 different golf courses you can go to. We'll have your wine package, which will include wine locker. You'll have your dinner and entertainment package, and then a 50-50. So the idea again is when we get down, pull 5 or 6 tickets, those 5 people come up front, and the first one that gets pulled, they get to choose what item they want. So they can take the cash, or they can take any one of the packages, but they don't know what's in the package until they open it up. They don't even know how much cash. And it becomes part of the fun part of the evening, because of course you can find that the golf package is worth $3,500 and the 50-50 was only $1,500. So that's another fun side of it.
That's definitely a fun idea. Even just that raffle idea alone that can be replicated in other communities, just adding a little different aspect to it. Right? Does anyone have other questions? Yep.
Just wondering if within your event, if you think there's an opportunity to do an ask for people who are participating in an event to become regular donors to Kidsport, and whether you think that's appropriate, and how you might go about making an ask for people to become a monthly donor to your Kidsport chapter.
I can speak that we do have some people that do that. They don't want to be recognized. We've tried to invite them to various events, and they don't want to be recognized. We do have a number of other businesses that at any time we can call them up and they'll make a donation. I think one of the things that we've done is we've been very proactive in trying to raise our funds, so now we get them involved in some other events, whether it be sending their staff to an event. That way they're still making a contribution and feeling more involved.
I was asking particularly around directing them to our donor page and getting them to commit to becoming a monthly donor of $10 a month or $20 a month.
Are you thinking about this being an ask that happens during the event?
At the event in
Okay.
some fashion.
Yeah, do you guys have an option at any of your events where you have like maybe someone with an iPad or something like that who's going around saying, hey, become a monthly donor? Or is there room for that? Do you think that that would work at your events?
And is it appropriate for your event?
I don't see it being a problem from our standpoint. I think an event that we had last night, a pub night, and it was very casual. Not it's it's a little noisy in that, but a lot of people are asking how they can be involved, whether it be volunteering or making donations, and that's probably the answer right there.
That is certainly something that we haven't considered, but now that you've posed that question, it's kind of like, oh, okay. And maybe it would be something as simple like something like a pub night, just, announcing something like that, and even, having some sort of business type of cards printed and laying on the table so that if people were interested, the information would be right there for them. Take the business card home. I'm never comfortable with a whole lot of arm twisting, but if you plant the seed and give them the information, they need to pursue it on their own initiative. I think that's certainly something we could look into.
Yeah, or you could even put a donor card just on the table. Like you were saying, put a business card on the table. Well, put a donor card on the table where people fill out their information, and then you can follow up with them to get a donation.
Yeah.
Something like that too could work.
It would be, Pizza Pig Out's not the right venue for it. We do try and communicate messages to the group, but it's mostly leading up to the event in terms of what's happening, and then follow-up email to everyone that attended. The night's pretty well chaos. The only captive point when Eric, we have an MC and then Eric grabs the mic for 10 or 15 minutes is when we do the pizza eating competition, and that's really the only time everyone turns and pays attention for a couple minutes. So, but we have had events. We do a charity hot stove with Eric as well. Our fan has been a big supporter. Where we don't have a silent auction, we don't have a raffle. Our only ask is the donation card. So everyone gets treated to a good dinner and some drinks and a good intimate conversation. There's 60 people in the room. And our only ask is the donation card, and it's been successful for us. And I think to Greg's point, and we've had good conversations about this, is sometimes we forget to ask, and we forget to realize just how powerful kid sport is. And the reason people are in the rooms at these events of all shapes and sizes is because they already have a connection to kid sport, or they've been brought along by someone who does, and they're learning about kid sport. So I think, sometimes done the right way, we should be asking, and probably asking more than we do. And based on the conversations we heard earlier, we're all looking for more funding and sustainability, and to have the right message to sell to those people in terms of becoming a monthly donor or ways their company or they can continue to partner is something we need to definitely find ways to do more of and take advantage of the audiences we do have.
Is there a, sorry, go ahead.
One thing that I just wanted to add, the last couple of years when we've had our pub night, we've sent complimentary tickets to some of our sort of annual sponsors. And then at the night of the event, we recognize them, ask them to stand up kind of thing. And I think that plants the seed for their future yeses, so that when we go back to them year after year after year, they acknowledged us at their pub night and they sent us complimentary tickets. So it's establishing that good connection with them. So
great. Yeah, that's a good aspect of donor stewardship for sure.
Kevin, before you pass on, Mike, just wondering, the follow-up email that you mentioned, wondering if there's a way to maybe incorporate a link to the donor page in that. And thank you for coming last night. I hope you enjoyed it. Here's another way that you can support kid sport, that kind of idea. Yeah, so this year during the event, we created through our online fundraising portal, we created a pizza pickout page specifically, promoted it during the event. You couldn't be here, but you still want to support kid sport, and you can play in that instance. I think we had $1,200 donated through that portal. And then after the event, we communicate the success of it to everyone, thank them, thank our volunteers, and we drive them to our newsletter sign up so that we're not bombarding them with kid sport information. If they do want to be in the know, they'll get an email once a month. And in there, we talk about all our events and ways to give on a regular basis. So.
The ask, I think, might be good for Leadercast because it is a simulcast. Our event has 3 massive screens, and sponsors get time on those screens before, during breaks, and that kind of stuff. So they are actually promoting their businesses. And we also put a lot of kids sport stuff on there as well. So I think that's a possibility that we might be able to do that for an ask. But I like Kevin's idea. We'd like a royalty as well.
Yeah. We'll work out a contract.
Do we have any other questions? Excellent. All right, well, let's have a huge round of applause for our panelists. Thank you very much. There we go. All right, so we do have this is off. There we go. We do have a 15-minute break scheduled right now. So if you want to go back to your rooms, if there's anything else that you have remaining to do, I would say definitely take some time and get that organized. Yeah, and we will be back here at right about 10.
Yeah.
Great job. Well done.
Thank you.
I'm going to go check out.